All right, so weather now. Meteorologist JD, I have been watching your forecast so closely. I mean, this really is a time when your information is so important, and it's like we're watching Beryl just coming on up.
Yeah, because the bottom line is at this point, we really do think it's going to get into the Gulf of Mexico, and we're not just sure exactly what those impacts are going to be. So it's definitely going to be something that we're continuing to watch. And it is expected to continue to weaken, which is what we've seen with the latest update from the National Hurricane Center, is that it did not weaken a lot, but it has weakened, and we expect it to continue that slow weakening process. So it was a Category 5. It's now a Category 4. It's about as strong of a Category 4 as you can have, but we're still expecting, as it continues to move through the Caribbean, to sort of slowly weaken. So we're not expecting a Category 4 or 5 in the Gulf of Mexico. So let's be very clear. But like we saw with Alberto earlier this year, it doesn't take a strong system to have some kind of impacts on us here in the Houston area. So here's that Category 4 storms with that 155-mile-an-hour winds. The next possible landfall where those major hurricane force winds can do damage would be in Jamaica. That would be on Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon. Then continuing to track to the Yucatan Peninsula, most likely still a hurricane. And as it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, right now the forecast has 70-mile-an-hour winds as a tropical storm. Well, it only needs 4-mile-an-hour winds more to become a hurricane. So I don't think we should count on a tropical storm. I think it could easily maintain a hurricane strength, and we would just have to see the exact track and, of course, what kind of those impacts would lead. If it were to lean a little more to the right side of the cone here, we would have more impacts. If it leans a little bit more to the left, we would have less impacts. We'll need a few more days to see this unfold and see exactly what happens. This high-pressure ridge is really helping to steer, but also just the size and strength in itself also will help kind of determine whether it goes further to the south or a little bit further to the north. Here's our Fox Futurecast, our Fox model, the exclusive Fox model, and you'll notice some of this is dust. This brown makes dust as it's going to get sort of sucked in here. This is one of the reasons why we're expecting Beryl to weaken as it continues to get closer and closer to the Yucatan. It gets more and more of that dust that's sort of in there, making it harder to keep itself together. So a Cat 4 storm right now, it should be at least a 4 or 3 when it impacts Jamaica, and then we'll see what happens when it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. Heat advisory so far is just until 7 o'clock tonight. We'll see if the Weather Service continues that for tomorrow. I would expect at least some of our viewing area to be included in the heat advisory for tomorrow, but maybe a little bit less. Our temperatures back in the mid-90s instead of the upper 90s, with some higher rain chances, at least for tomorrow. Then when we get into Thursday, we're back down to those 20% chance of rain, but the temperatures back in the upper 90s. Be safe with all of your outdoor 4th of July activities.